What is going on, Washington football team fans? This is another podcast/video from the Washington Football Report. My name is JD. We're going to dive into this. So, Washington played the LA Chargers on Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock. I was actually at this game. Solid game overall. Weather was very hot. Don't ever take an 8-month-old to a football game. Not a smart decision on my part. But she actually enjoyed the game after the first hour she was there. It was hot. We found a way to keep her cool. Then she started enjoying the game. She started actually being excited about watching it. So I was really tickled tickled pink as a father. But Washington lost, and I'm going to dive into that. Before I do, please hit the subscribe button on the podcast app you're using and on the on YouTube. And for YouTube, comment, share, state your opinions. I want to have an open dialogue about these games. It helps the YouTube algorithm a lot. So diving into this. So let's just start with what LA did. Justin Herbert was 31 for 47. Not exactly the greatest completion percentage. But in fairness, like I said, I was there. I watched the game. There were a decent amount of drops in this game. So just give me 1 second. I'll get his completion percentage up. 66%. So that's not horrible at all by any stretch. 337 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He was sacked twice. QBR was 61, and total passer rating was 85.1. So he didn't exactly have the greatest day, to be completely honest. Washington seemed to slow down the run game. 15 rushes for 57 yards from Austin Ekeler. He had 3.8 yards per carry. 1 touchdown. That was on the first drive, and he pretty much did nothing after the first drive. And then no other running backs really effective, holding the team to a total of 90 yards rushing. So by looking at that, you'd think that they were down a lot of the game, but they were actually up for most of it. Receiving, Keenan Allen is Keenan Allen, and this is why he's one of the best receivers you're going to get in the league in fantasy, every year, because every year he does what he did in this game. In this game, I'm trying to adjust I have a thing holding my phone, and it keeps wobbling. Okay, so I'm just going to have to anchor this down. Okay, cool. So Keenan Allen does what Keenan Allen does. Mike Williams shows why he was severely missed last year. Pretty much very close to what Keenan Allen did. Probably, if he had another touchdown, another catch, he probably would have had about close to 100 receiving yards as well. Jared Cook did well. So those three killed us, and then everyone else was okay, but they weren't great either. But the big ones was those three. And so that's what they did offensively. Defensively, they didn't really force turnovers except for one. They weren't stopping the run game. They didn't really stop the pass. It's just we had some things that happened on our end that caused that. So what are my takeaways from what the Chargers did? Well, Justin Herbert is very good. Justin Herbert threw guys open at points. There also were some drops, so Justin Herbert probably was about 40 for 47, probably would have had close to 400 passing yards, and maybe even another touchdown. So Justin Herbert played very well. And he played so well that I'm pretty certain that for the next 15 years, we're going to have a debate on whether we should take in Justin Herbert or Chase Young. Because Justin Herbert compensated for a lot of things. I do think Washington has the better overall roster, top to bottom. But Justin Herbert is by far the better quarterback that was on the field, and he compensated for a lot of flaws. Let's just put it that way, that the Chargers have, both on defense and on offense. So he compensated for a lot of those things. He's a very good quarterback, and it showed in this game. So I keep tapping the screen because it'll time out if I do not keep tapping. So, Washington. What did Washington do well? Well, Fitzpatrick was 3 for 6. Okay, he was 3 for 6 in passing. Not great, but he, like I said, he only attempted 6 passes. Taylor Heinicke was 11 for 15, 122 yards, 1 touchdown. He actually averaged more yards per attempt than Justin Herbert did. He had a QBR of 38.1. I think that factors in fourth quarter and things like that. It's a different way, but overall rating was 119, and I think his completion percentage was in the 70s, 74 or something like that. So Taylor Heinicke, I thought, came and did very well. Fitzpatrick, I don't really know if he would have done better or worse or whatever. I really don't have a guesstimation on how we would have done if he'd have finished out the game and played through the whole game. It's really not fair to him to judge him based on literally 3 possessions. But it is what it is. And Taylor Heineke's now starting running back. The Ryan Fitzpatrick. I'm really watching this game live, and I see him go down. And as soon as I saw it, I'm like, I think that's a dislocated hip. And I just thought the irony that our older quarterback that we signed just dislocated his hip. The irony doesn't defeat me. So, rushing yards. We actually had 126 rushing yards, so we rushed the ball very well. We committed to it. And for the most part, you'd think with these kind of stats, we led most of the game and we were just trying to run out the clock, and that's not the case. We just committed to it, and there's some team stats that I'll get to here in a little bit are the reason why those things add up to a loss. McLaurin, Logan Thomas, and Gibson are studs. The only ones that did anything when it comes to receiving the ball. We need to have more output from other players. Jared Patterson didn't do bad in the running game. He was 2 rushes for 9 yards. But he needs to be more. The thing is, we didn't have as many offensive plays as the other team. If you look at the overall team stats, this is what killed us. So first downs, we had 6. The Chargers had 20. Third down conversions, we were 3 of 10. They were 14 of 19. They actually were 14 of 18. They took a knee late in the game to run out the clock, which was their 19th. Third down conversion attempt. And that is why they have a 19 there rather than an 18. Their percentage was incredible. They ran 30 more plays than us, 78 plays to 49 plays. They have almost not quite 200, 170 yards more than us of offense. We had the same amount of drives each, but the problem is they sustained drives and we didn't. Yards per play, 5.4, 5.3. If we just had more overall plays, we'd have won this game. Let's see here. Yards per pass, 6.8. We were 6.0. That's not really that big deal. We only got sacked once, but the offensive line was not stopping the rush very well. Pass rush, so we were getting rid of it quick. Rushing attempts, we had 27. They had 29. I think we actually need to get more rushing attempts next game with higher rush yards per rush. We did very good with that. We only had 2 red zone appearances. They had, I think, 6. They were 2 for 6. We were 1 for 2. We did force 2 turnovers, but we scored off none of them. They forced 1 turnover and got a go-ahead touchdown. So, and time of possession was 36 minutes to 23.57 minutes. So if you're looking at this game, here's what happened. They had more plays than us. The more plays led to time of possession. We obviously had less plays. We had more rushing yards than them, so we should have actually won that battle. We forced 2 turnovers, got 0 points off of it. They forced 1 and got a touchdown. It was actually the go-ahead touchdown. Some individual things. Actually, one more thing I want to go over here. Which one was it? And we couldn't get off the field on third downs. That was the deciding factor in the game. We couldn't get off the field on third downs. I'm actually going to call out 2 players right now that really had some dumb plays that screwed. Well, 3 players, I guess. Some dumb plays that screwed us. First one I'll call out is Antonio Gibson. Other than this one play, he had a fantastic game. He was a baller. He was putting us in good spots. He was moving the football, and he was playing with some good energy. Just fumbled the ball at the worst opportune time. We have all the momentum. We just got a turnover or got an interception, and we just got an interception. And what do we turn? We turn on, get right back to him on the 4-yard line. And you can't do that because, and even though we got the third down and we could have forced him to kick a field goal, you still just can't do that. You can't be free and loose with the ball on the 4-yard line. At the very least, we punt there. It makes it very hard for them to at least get a touchdown, much less get a field goal to tie the game up. So that was a backbreaker. But there's some other backbreakers in this game that killed us. So after we had forced a fumble, it was a fumble that went out of the back of the end zone. The ensuing possession, we're at 3rd and 2. I think it was on like the 30-yard line. And Brandon freaking Sheriff false starts, pulling a Morgan Moses, backing us up 5 yards. We don't convert on 3rd down, and we end up kicking a field goal and we miss because it's such a deep field goal. It's over 50 yards. And I just like, of course it's Brandon Sheriff. The guy who can't commit to this team and play long term wants to make a douchebag move like that in the worst possible time to have a 5-yard penalty like that. This is not a great time to have that penalty. That specific penalty, like, just really pisses me off. It really did piss me off. I was cursing up Sheriff's name the entire time after this play. So that cost us big. And then the other one that cost us pretty big, obviously I went over the Gibson play. The other one that costs us big is it is 3rd and 16. There's about 5 minutes and 30 seconds left in the game, and the Chargers are on on their side of the field. Okay, we kicked on 4th and 7 to put us in a position. Punted it, so that we could pin them deep, and we rely on our defense to get off the field on 3rd downs, so we get the ball back with about 5 minutes left, maybe 4 minutes and 50 seconds left, and put us in a position where we can go on the field and march down the field and stick it in the end zone to win the game. And Jon Bostic blows a coverage of Keenan Allen, the one guy on this offense you really need to cover the most, because if the ball's so near him, he catches it. The one guy you need to cover the most does not cover him. Does not cover him. No way, shape, or form. And he gets a 17-yard completion to move the sticks. Back-breaking. Jon Bostic, Brandon Sheriff get two, they're the GOATs, and not the good kind of GOATs, not the greatest of all time, but GOATs. They're the ones they're part of the reason we cost us this game. Antonio Gibson, I give him a slight can kick. I'm still in this term from the Washington Football Talk podcast. Can kick because he had impacts elsewhere that were positive, just that one damn play. And, yeah, that made me so mad. I'm going to go ahead and dive right into the Giants talk. Hold on. I'll go back to the Washington versus the Chargers. Basically, two things cost this game. Can't get off field on 3rd downs. So that was the first thing that cost us. The second thing that cost us is we forced turnovers and have 0 points. If we would have scored 2 field goals off each one of those turnovers, we'd have won the game. We'd have won the game by 3 points. Or 2 points. We'd have won the game. They probably could have kicked a field goal late, so that may not be a fair comparison. But they also wouldn't have got that touchdown if we would have scored off the turnover. They wouldn't have got a touchdown on the 4-yard line. So those are the things that killed us. We didn't score off turnovers, and we couldn't get off the field on 3rd downs. If one of those is fixed, we win this game. If we get off the field on 3rd down, and let's say it's 10 of 19 or 10 of 18 or whatever, we win that game. We get the ball back, we have more possessions, and we potentially at least get another 2 field goals because we have more plays. But because we didn't get off the field on 3rd downs, that cost us a game, and we didn't put any points up off turnovers. Is this game something I think that Washington needs to harp on? No, I think the LA Chargers are a lot better than I anticipated. Justin Herbert's better than I anticipated. I thought Justin Herbert would be rattled by a live crowd for the first time in his NFL career. He wasn't. And he's throwing guys open. He literally threw the spots, and guys ran to the spots. He threw guys open. He threw perfect passes. He is a franchise quarterback, bona fide. And like I said, Washington's going to debate for years whether they should have taken Justin Herbert or Chase Young when they had the chance at Justin Herbert. And honestly, he's making me look right, because I was on a podcast a couple years ago where they asked if I'd take Tua Tagovailoa, if Wash should be tanking for Tua. And I was like, no, I'd rather have Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert, I thought, much better quarterback, and he's proving me right now. So I'm going to dive right into the next game, because Washington plays the Washington Football Giants. Or I'm sorry, the New York Football Giants, and Washington plays the Giants. And I think Taylor Heineke is going to do well in this game. Washington has not had a good track record against Daniel Jones, and overall, we just don't have a great track record against the New York Giants. That's going to change this week. Washington is going to go in and make a statement. This is almost a must-win. Washington has to win this game. They have to. We can't go down 0-2 with a 10-day break with all the questions and things like that lingering over our franchise. And I really want to watch this video by Danny, what's his name? I can't think of his name right now. I can see his face. It's a guy who used to be a quarterback for the Lions. Dan Orlovsky, there we go. So Washington, looking at the stats, Daniel Jones had more passing yards. He also had way more passes. I think Washington's going to do a lot of things different this game. Taylor Heineke needs to have the ball on the move, and I think they're going to let him do that more. Daniel Jones looked horrible. I mean, he did have a touchdown, a rushing touchdown, 13 points against 13. I think one of them was a garbage time touchdown. Taylor Heineke was moving the ball throughout the game, and he was pretty efficient. I just think Washington's issue against the Chargers, they didn't throw the ball enough. Combined Heineke and combined with Fitz, they only threw the ball 21 times. Justin Herbert threw the ball almost 47 times. So that's I think if you give Heineke double the passing yards, passing attempts, he'll get more yards, he'll get more touchdowns. You give him more opportunities to score. What the Giants have, I'm going to go to the Giants first before I dive into Heineke. Giants, Daniel Jones is 22 for 37, 267 passing yards, and 1 touchdown, with 1 rushing touchdown, no turnovers yet. He's also the leading rusher, 6 carries for 27 yards. That's very problematic to me because our defensive line, I'm assuming this game was an aberration that we had against Chargers, and defensive line is going to get after that considering, they have Saquon Barkley, and if Saquon Barkley's not reading you and rushing and your quarterback is, you're in trouble. You're in some serious trouble. And then their best receiver was Sterling Shepard. And I never actually looked at the stats from that game. So let me go to the New York Giants and see if I can see the total stats of receiving and stuff for that game. Because I'm curious, it was just 1 or 2 guys catching the ball, or was it like a team effort? I wonder what it was. So Sterling Shepard, okay, so Galladay really wasn't an impact. Darius Slayton was a decent impact. Kyle Rudolph was a decent impact. Kadarius Toney had 2 catches for -2 yards. Wow, that's bad. So yeah, there wasn't really great impact from the receiving core. Just one really guy went 113 yards, and then Slayton and Galladay pretty much split another 129 yards between the two of them. Yeah, not too much. Not too much that I'm like is like overwhelming. Barkley was 10 for 26, 2.6 yards per carry. So, and yeah, so going back to the Washington aspect, their defense is okay, but I don't consider Teddy Bridgewater a great quarterback. I don't think he's bad. I think he's definitely your game manager nowadays. He's one of your game manager quarterbacks, and he picked them apart. He played very well against them. Yeah, he was 28 for 36. He threw the ball 36 times, 7.3 yards, 2 touchdowns. Good QBR, good passer rating. So you gave that to Teddy Bridgewater. I think Taylor Heineke's gonna eat if that's the case. And then the Giants gave up 101 rushing yards to Melvin Gordon on 11 carries, another 45 yards to Javonte Williams on 45 yards to him. So they got 165. Based on this, I think we're gonna be able to run on the Giants. Yeah, I think the Giants' defense is not quite as good as they were projecting. Of course, ours doesn't look that way either. And then the ball was shared pretty well amongst the Denver Bronco receivers. So I think Giants going to have issues. They're not going to be on the ball. They're going to become very one-dimensional. And once they're one-dimensional, Washington can get after the quarterback. And the Giants' offensive line is not very good at all. They drafted a first-round guy in Andrew Thomas a couple years ago, like 2 years ago. And I don't even think he starts. I don't think he's a starting offensive lineman on this team. So I don't think he's very good. I just don't. I don't think the offensive line for the Giants is very good, and it reflected in the running game this week. And Daniel Jones didn't get sacked a lot, but he also didn't play extremely well either. And I think Washington will get after him better than the Broncos will. And I think Washington will play better this week against the Giants defense than they did against the Chargers defense. I think Taylor Heineke's going to get a week under his belt. It's his opportunity. I'm happy for him. I want him to take full advantage of his opportunity right now, and I hope he thrives in it. I hope he comes out and he shows people, and I kind of thought this originally. I hold back from being too excited about some things. I hold back whenever I see a quarterback like Taylor Heinicke take the field and come out with the intent or like play like he should, like a franchise quarterback. Last year in the playoffs, he played like a franchise quarterback. But I also gotta skew my expectations. He gets injured a decent amount. Can he survive 8 games that Fitz is out? Is that a possibility? Are we going to be addressing this every week, asking if Taylor Heinicke is going to be healthy for the next game, or are we going to have to play Kyle Allen, or we have to bring in another quarterback? That's what I'm worried about with Taylor Heinicke. I want him to take advantage of the opportunity. I think Gibson's going to do very well. I think McLaurin finally has a quarterback that's going to find him. I think Logan Thomas has the same thing. Logan Thomas in an interview said he plays like Brett Favre, and there's some good with that, there's some bad with that. But he also said that Taylor Heinicke is his best friend as well. So there's a lot of good things about Taylor Heinicke. The other thing about the Washington offense I'm taking away from last week's game, going into this week's game. And I think the defense just is going to just get back to the basics and do what they do. Last year, the defense this is what the defense did last year. They were not very good early. They were good for the first game, they got 8 sacks. But in like the next 4 games, they couldn't get sacks. They were bad coverage, so on and so forth. So it took them a few games to really get figured out what they were going to do defensively. And then when they did, they became like a very good defensive unit late in the season. I think Washington's going to have to do the same thing this year. They're going to figure out what works, what doesn't. I really want John Bostic off the field. I'd rather have Khaleke Hudson and ride with that and have more speed with better coverage ability than John Bostic on the field just because he knows the defensive play calling. That's it. That's the only reason he's on the field. There's no reason. He's not fast. He helps with the run, but he also misses a lot of tackles in the run as well. He has his moments where he's good, but he doesn't have. He has more moments where he screws up and ruins a game like he did in this one than he does like actually like wins a game or does like big impact plays. So that is pretty much my video. This is I did it all at once. I actually filmed both of these separately, but the sound didn't pick up for some freaking reason, and I'm really mad about it because I did this one and then I followed it up by doing a completely different podcast I do. It's called the NFL Weekly Rundown, and that one didn't film either, or didn't record the sound either. So that's my video. Thank everyone for watching. If you're listening to the podcast, thank you for listening. And hail to the Redskins. Let's go beat the Giants. I think we're gonna get it done this week. And have a good one. Bye.